111.1 million Japanese have now, up till now, have watched some part of the games. That's 87% of the available population. Strong showing on digital as well. And the IOC web and app is up to 100 million individual users, which is quite interesting. We will have a proper full briefing on broadcasting and digital by Timo Lume from ITMS on 3rd of August, on Tuesday, if you want. And hopefully we should have some kind of more complete figures. President was at rowing this morning and is at tennis and table tennis this evening. He's also going to the Olympic Agora, which I'm going to too. I'm looking forward to that. Culture in the games. It's supposed to be very good. So, without further ado, let me hand over to Masa, who has brought along a guest volunteer for us. Masa, more mundane matters first. Over to you.
Thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. As always, just wanted to give you the regular updates. As always, obviously there are a large number of competitions are going on. Today, we have seen that the track and field finally started, which would give even more Olympic atmosphere to our community. So good to see the athletics events are taking place now. In the lead up to the weekend, as you may be aware, Saturday we call it Super Saturday, and Sunday we call it Golden Sunday, which is filled with many exciting events, including the new sports, new events, and lots of medal competitions. So we are hoping that you'll be able to be fully engaged within those exciting new sports and new events. Just wanted to give you the regular COVID updates concerning the number of total airport tests. Is now nearly 40,000. 39,853 tests were conducted at the airport, and among those, 32 cases were found to be positive. The positivity rate is 0.08%. As for the number of total screening tests, the number is now almost reaching to 350,000, and among those, 72 cases were found to be positive, and the positivity rate is 0.02%. And as always, these numbers are as of 28th of July, since the beginning of July. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to give you at this very beginning. And in the meantime, I'm pleased to introduce one of our field casts today, Mr. Chiharu Charles Nishikawa, who is serving as one of those language services field casts at the table tennis venue. As you may be aware, the field casts are playing a vital role in these games. There are 70,000 volunteers being deployed to these Olympic and Paralympic Games. So as one of those field casts, we are happy to have Mr. Nishikawa, who will be able to give you his experiences he has gone through so far. So I'd like to pass the floor to Mr. Nishikawa. 西川さん、じゃあすいません、冒頭お願いいたします。
ありがとうございます。I will answer your questions in English later on, but first of all, I start in Japanese. 皆さんおはようございます。フィールドキャストの西川千春と言います。私は英語の名前もあってチャールズなんですけども、実は私東京生まれなんですが、ロンドンに28年間住んでました。この後もですね、ロンドンに戻る予定にはしてるんですけれども、2012年のロンドン大会、私もともとオリンピックとかスポーツですとかパラリンピックとか大好きなんですけども、市民として大会を迎えたことでですね、なんか自分としてやりたいなということでボランティアを一番初めに始めたんですね。で、一生に一度の経験かと思って始めたらですね、止まらなくなっちゃいまして、その後ですね、ソチとリオと で今回東京ということでですね、一生に一度の経験がなんと4回目になってしまいました。いつもですね、大体ラングエージサービスということで、主に会場の、措置の時には NPC でしたけども、会場の、ボランティアとしてですね、主にミックスゾーンで選手の第一声を世界に伝える役割を手伝うというような形でですね、やってました。で、私、卓球が好きなんで、卓球がメインの会場だったんですけども、私ロンドンとですね、ソチは、ごめんなさい、リオは、多種目の競技場だったんで、他のところもやってました。ということでですね、今回東京に戻ってきて、4回目ということでですね、同じく卓球会場で今、ボランティアのチームリーダーとして、活動しています。
Yeah, Mark? Yeah, passing the floor back to you.
Okay, I will do the air traffic control. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's have, as ever, we will take questions on anything, but if you have questions to our volunteer, who I think this is racking up his third game, so if you have any questions, then is there, yes, lady there would like to ask a question. Thank you.
テレビ朝日の吉田と申します。すいません、日本語で失礼いたします。高谷さんにお伺いいたします。ボートの競技場で審査員を務めていた男性2名が、コロナの陽性判明後、ホテルに隔離されて、その後無断で、昨日ですね、病院に、外出していたということが判明しました。このケースについて、事実関係の確認と経緯を改めてご説明していただきたいのと、このような無断外出のケースというのは他にもあったのでしょうか。で、明確なプレイブック違反、バブル破りだと思うんですが、組織委員会として今後どのように対応していくのか、また受け止めをお願いいたします。
はい、今おっしゃられた、事例をすみません、ちょっと当方掌握してません。会見の終わりまでに何かお伝えできることがあれば、追加的にお伝えしたいと思います。当然とことながら陽性になればですね、速やかに隔離施設にご移動いただいて、そちらで過ごしていただくということを明示的に示させていただいてますし、これまで皆さんにそのプロトコルをしっかり遵守していただいているものというふうに理解しております。
Yes, lady here, and then we'll come up the back. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, this is Saya Tamisa from Bloomberg. So I just wanted you to confirm the latest screening of positives by athletes. So one document says 3 athletes in total, and then another says 4. So which is correct? Thank you.
Sorry, which number are you referring to? Total number of athletes tested positive for today must be 3. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Lady there, yeah. I think it's NHK, is it? I can't see. Oh, whoa. That's not in the playbook.
Hi, this is Nazami Kunitake from NHK. My question is to Mark. So there have been a series of slanderous comments against the athletes recently to the social media. What do you think the IOC should react on the fans? For example, do you recommend the NOCs or athletes to take a legal action to those comments violating to the human rights? Thank you.
Hello, yeah. I mean, I don't think that the IOC should be giving advice individually on different cases, particularly. I haven't seen those. Clearly, what we would say is that such trolling or whatever you want to call it, aggression is really, really not acceptable. And we would completely go against that and support the athletes in every way. As we said yesterday, the athletes get a great deal of support. And on that issue too, if they want, they can certainly come to us, and we have a helpline and so on for mental health, as you know from yesterday. But that kind of comment I haven't seen the one specifically you're talking about, but it has no place in sport. I think we're all agreed on that. We've seen it, unfortunately, not just in sport, but in politics, in all different areas of our lives, but it's not acceptable. Gentleman right at the back there. Yep.
Good morning, Jim Ryan with ABC. Regarding Sam Kendrick, Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi is demanding that he be retested and be allowed to compete. Is there any chance of that at this point, Mark? Thank you.
Hi. What I would say is that there are very, very strict protocols, as you can imagine, when anyone, athlete or whoever, proves positive. You will know, I won't talk about individual cases, but if someone tests positive, they will then go through, the saliva will undergo a PCR test, and then if that still is positive or unclear, then they will go through a proper nasal pharyngeal test, and that is, I understand, what happens. I can't talk about the individual case, but that's what happens in all cases. There are very strict protocols, so it's then in the hands, it goes, all the cases are reviewed, but then eventually it obviously goes to the Japanese health authorities, as you'd expect. So he and everyone else will be subject to the same strict protocols, because it's important to give everyone confidence, and for obvious reasons we can't make exceptions for individuals. Everyone has to follow the rules, I'm afraid. Yeah, gentleman down here.
Hiroshi Hiyama from AFP. Thank you very much. I'm just following up on that same question. Is there any reason to believe that this positive case was in fact a breakthrough scenario where a fully vaccinated individual has become infected, or can you discuss his vaccination status?
I have absolutely no idea, and if I did, I would not discuss an individual case at the press conference, I'm afraid.
Okay, just one quick follow-up to that. The Australian teams taking it rather professionally, and they spoke this morning that they are moving on. How do you think worries like this may affect overall performance of athletes that are out there in the field? Do you think that this is definitely a fear among them, do you think? Thank you.
I wouldn't like to speculate, and I'm not an elite athlete, but I do know that obviously conditions for all athletes are incredibly important for how they perform on the day, not just involving COVID, but obviously all of us have been through a very difficult time in terms of, and they particularly in terms of training, with days presumably when they didn't even know if they were going to be able to see their coaches, when they didn't know if they could train before they got here, all those things. So has it had an effect on athletes? I imagine so. It will have had an effect on athletes in many different ways. I don't think there will be one rule for one. Some will have sailed through it, others will have found it more difficult, and there will not just be physical, there'll be mental challenges as well. So, of course, I can imagine it would affect some of the athletes' performance. Down here.
Rachel Axon from USA Today. Two quick questions. I know you've said in this press conference before that you don't see a connection between the cases in the Olympic bubble and the rising cases in Tokyo. And if I'm looking at the numbers correctly, fully half of the positives have been of contractors who, according to the playbooks, are tested as little as every 4 days. So what information do you have that makes you feel assured that between those tests, those contractors aren't going home to their family, going to drop their kids off at school or anything like that, and contributing to the spread locally? And then also, there was polling before the games showing pretty high opposition among the Japanese public. What sense do you have about how they're receiving them now that they're going, and if that opposition remains?
Yeah, so on the second question first, I mean, I saw yesterday, I'm sure you all did too, that positive mentions on Twitter in Japan are now overcome negative ones. I don't think that's a very scientific way of judging things, but I think clearly winning, I think, now 15 medals, Massa gold medals, I think it is. Maybe it's more this morning, and I think 16 is the all-time record as far as I understand. I think that will have a big effect. You know, at the Olympic Games, in inverted commas, normal times, there's always a kind of a pick-up as the Games progress, and particularly as the host nation, in this case, starts doing well. And I think that has been magnified. You know, we clearly understand the concerns and worries of the local population. In terms of, I can only give you kind of what our infection rate is from our figures. I think it was 0.08, is it now, %? Something like that, and also seeing the comments both of the governor of Tokyo and I think the Prime Minister also made it clear that there was no link between the two, and I think they probably know more about it than I do.
Just to compliment. Yeah, can I compliment?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, to address your question. Just yesterday, Governor Koike mentioned that concerning the people's movement, the taking place of Olympic Games is just it's simply contributing to a encouraging people to stay at home to watch those events through TVs, and this is being proved by the high TV audience rate. So I just wanted to mention that. And as Mark mentioned, we have been implementing a robust countermeasures on COVID-19, and in that respect, we are protecting their safety. We are delivering the safest possible environment from both perspectives, from the perspective of participants, also from the perspective of people in Tokyo and Japan.
Yes, gentleman here, and then gentleman there, and then Graham. So there's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. 共同通信の長谷川と申します。日本語で失礼します。手短に3点お伺いします。1点目はアダムスさんにお伺いしたいんですが、明日で大会も折り返しの地点を迎えます。非常にコロナという難しい状況の中で開いている大会だと思いますが、IOC としてこの前半の大会運営、総合的にどういうふうに評価されていますでしょうか。総合的な評価をお願いします。2点目は、西川さんにお伺いしたいんですが、今回非常に大会前大会に対しての賛否があった中で迎えた大会です。ボランティアのお立場としてどういうお気持ちでこの大会に臨んだのか、それから大会が始まって何か心境の変化があったかお願いします。で、3点目恐縮ですが、高谷さんにお伺いしたいんですが、一部報道でジョージアの柔道選手が外出して東京タワーに行ったというような報道がありました。事実関係把握されてますでしょうか。調査されましたでしょうか。以上です。
I'll take the first question, not just because I think it's probably the easiest one of the three, but I think, I mean, I'm not sure you want to hear what the spokesman for the IOC thinks about it. I mean, I obviously think that these have been so far, particularly considering the circumstances, pretty successful, very successful for the midpoint. Obviously, wait till the end. It's not over till it's over, as the song goes. So, but we are, very pleased. And I think particularly what I would say is that, and I think the President has touched on this as well, if you'd offered us these games as they are now 6 months or a year ago, we would have bitten your hand off, because I think, we worked very hard to make sure that these games will happen for the athletes. As I constantly repeat, 60% of them, this is their only chance to compete on the biggest stage. And I think the people you really want to hear from, and I'm sure you've all been talking to them, are the athletes, and the athletes themselves, to use a cliche, are, to a man and woman, over the moon. I haven't yet met one who hasn't been, winners and non-winners, competitors all, who have just found the experience amazing, have had their chance on the world stage. And don't forget, it's very important for the audience here, but this is an event that is probably going to be watched by 5 billion individuals around the world, 5 billion separate individuals, unique individuals around the world. That's amazing. We aren't out of the COVID problems yet in the world, but it's the first time that we've really managed to get the world together in a peaceful way, and I think it sends a message of hope to everyone sitting at home watching on their televisions, whether they're in Tokyo, Japan, or Timbuktu. I mean, I think that we really have seen the best of humanity here in challenging times, and for me, it's been amazing.
それではですね、ちょっと日本語で回答させていただきたいと思うんですけども、確かに今回のですね、大会は過去に私が経験したロンドンやリオなどと全く違うやはり雰囲気であることは確かなんで、当初ですね、やはり非常にその不安要素ですとか、私自身もですね、はっきり言って非常に本当に開会ができるのかとかですね、中止になってしまうんじゃないかということで、非常にこの先が見えないような状況に置かれてですね、個人的に非常に不安でした。ただ、もともとはですね、やはり私、オリンピック・パラリンピックというその意義ですとか、その精神というものに非常に共感してて、それがゆえにボランティアとして手を挙げたんですけれども、そのやはり非常に大きな、もう普通のいわゆるスポーツイベントとはまるで違うんですね。でそこにやはり私、共鳴して、その一部になりたいということで、初めロンドンの時に手を挙げて、それが今でも続いているんですが、ただ、それの意思をもってしても、やはりその状況というのが非常に厳しかった。これは私にとって個人的にも非常に負担でした。でそういった中でですね、やはり私たちのボランティアの心っていうのは、ある意味選手に非常に近いところがあるんですね。自分としてともかくコントロールはできない。今回の特にパンデミックというのはもう自分じゃどうしようもならないんで、もう自分でできる努力をしていくということでですね、それを心の支えにして、で、例えば準備していくですとか、そういうような形で臨んでたんですけれども、だんだんそういった中でですね、実際今度始めてみたとき、じゃあこれでもうやるということになってですね、じゃあもう一生懸命やっていこうということでですね、自分としても決心して、で実際のところですね、いろいろお話したいと思うんですけど、今回始めてみて、やはり私まず一つには日本の場合ちょっとワクチンの接種が非常に遅れたという問題があってです、それが非常に大きなネックになっているかと思うんですけれども、ありがたいことにですね、ワクチンの接種特別枠ということでIOC の方からですね、ファイザーのワクチンを私も2回とも打たせていただきまして、ある意味完全ではないですけど少しは安心材料になっているということと、あと活動を始めてみてですね、やはりいろいろなところでいわゆるコロナに対する対策ですね、感染防止対策というのは取られていると感じます。で私自身もですね、ともかくやはり責任も非常に自分としても感じてますので、やはりそのプロトコルに沿ってですね、ルールブックもきちっと読ませて、プレイブックも読ませていただきまして、でそれに沿ってですね活動するということと、あと私実家が千葉で幕張メッセに近い方なんですけれども、ちょっと今回そこに一時滞在しているんですが、今回はですねこちらに戻ってきて、ウィークリーマンションを借りてですね、自分としてもきちっとあまり外に出られるとかそういうのしないようにというかですね、夜遅くなりますんで、もう帰って直行っていう形で、あとはですねスポンサーのビールを飲んで寝るっていう感じなんですけれども、ある意味自分としてですねきちっとその行動ルールを守ってやるようにしてますね。でもう一回もう過去の経験でもそうなんですけど、一回活動を始めてみるともうともかくそれに集中することと、あとその自分の特に好きなスポーツをフォローしていくということでですね、ある意味その完全に自分を隔離しているような形でですね、もうオリンピックの競技の方にもうなんか没頭してるなっていう気はしますね。ということでなんていうんですか、会社員として満員電車に乗ってですね、例えばいろいろな密集状態のオフィスとかですね、そういうような環境から比べたらある意味東京体育館広々してますし、そういう意味では安心感はあると思います。きちっとした感染対策取られていると思います。
はい、ありがとうございます。今の西川さんの話を聞いて、西川さんのような本当ボランティアの皆さんに支えられて大会が運営できているなというふうに改めて実感しますので、本当にありがとうございます。最後のご質問なんですけれども、報道に関しては、承知をしているところです。でここからはやはりその個別の事例に対する対処の状況に関してはお伝えできないんですが、当然プレイブック違反が疑われる 個別の事案についてはですね、報道がその認知のケースになるときもありますし、皆様から、関係者からですね、通知等があって、調査をする場合もありますし、調査を行って、対象者に適正に対処を行っているところです。昨日も触れてますけれども、これまで厳重注意ですとか、厳重注意の上、誓約書を聴取させていただいているケース、アクレディの一時効力停止などの事案があります。これ決して少なくない数の事案がありますが、引き続きプレイブック違反も含むですね、さまざまな事象に対して適正に対処を続けていきたいというふうに考えています。
Thank you. Thank you, Massa. I should just say, by the way, if you want a more expert view on the games than mine, and there are many, but a good one, Christoph Duby will be doing the press conference with me on Sunday, midpoint, or just after the midpoint, after the Super Saturday? And Golden Sunday. And the President obviously will be here on Friday, when we'll be very moving towards the end of the games. Okay, another question. There was a gentleman, I think, and then Graham. Yeah, man with a hat on, and then AP, and then the guy, yep, there. Apologies if I can't see who you are, but the light is strong and everyone's got a mask on. It's actually quite difficult, so yes.
Good morning. Nathan Frandino with Reuters. I have 3 weather/climate-related questions. The first question, much has been spoken and reported on the impact of the weather on athletes. What countermeasures has Tokyo 2020 taken to reduce the risks for staff members who are working in the outdoor venues and stadiums? Second question is, y'all are employing an Alibaba system for monitoring the risks of heat stroke. What impact has that system had on monitoring the heat for members who are participating in that? And then lastly, as an organizer, how do you feel about climate change and its impact on how has that affected preparation for holding games, and what do you foresee as the challenges for organizers when preparing for future events? Thank you.
Starting with the first question. We have been observing some competition schedule changes due to the latest weather situation, and also we have to acknowledge that some of the staff members went through the heat stroke during these games. In that respect, of course, we are concerning the weather situation in Japan. But in the meantime, we have been, implementing once again robust countermeasures on this heat weather in Japan. Concerning the countermeasures on the staff members, workforces, we have a certain guidance that how many hours they can stay outside within their shift. They need to have a certain hours of the rest during their duties. So in the meantime, of course, the water supply is vital to those workforces. So we've been providing a substantial amount of the waters to let them, keep hydrated. Those series of countermeasures on heat has been fully implemented. Of course, we cannot reduce the risk to zero, but we can minimize the risk to these incidents. So in that respect, we've been absolutely right on the track in terms of the operations, how we want to mitigate the latest weather situation. Concerning the second question, so I don't have any information. You have
on Alibaba?
Alibaba, yeah.
I'm not really aware of that, to be honest. We can take it away and find out some more information, but I don't have any information on that.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have that information either. Yeah, so I think I already covered pretty much on your third question, but you know, the response to the climate change is a regular course of work during these Olympic Games. So
I mean, I can speak to that a little bit in general about games organisation and you know, obviously climate change, particularly Olympic Agenda 2020 +5, deals extensively with our response, sporting movement's response to climate change. You'll know, just by the way, that the new headquarters of the IOC are in their class the most climate-friendly building, I can't remember what the actual term is, in the world of its class. So I can give you some more information on that if you want. But as regards the Games, yes, so the IOC itself will be climate positive, not just climate neutral, by 2024. The Games will be climate positive by 2030. They're already carbon neutral. They'll be carbon positive by 2030, and I think I'm right in saying that Paris 24 has made a commitment already, or is trying to become carbon positive, i.e., not just reducing, but really cutting, so that actually they take carbon, in effect, take carbon out of the atmosphere. So I think we have a whole range of stuff on that. It's obviously something, as with all organisations, large organisations, that we need to look at. We've been looking at climate change and our carbon emissions as regards the IOC, as regards the sporting movement, as regards the Games, 3 different levels, and a full strategy on that. And if you're interested, I can get you someone who knows a lot more about it than I do. Graham.
Sorry, forgot to mention.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, forgot to mention one more important thing. International federations have been very, very supportive and cooperative in terms of their countermeasures on heat. Each international federation has its own, strict guidance and the rules that can be, that has been applied to these games, which has been very, very helpful. We have already observed their benefit from these initiatives in the tennis event. Their competition schedule has been modified already. So those support from the international federations have been also vital for the success of these games.
You must say yes, Graham.
Hi, Graham Dunbar from Associated Press. During this press conference, Hong Kong's won another medal in swimming. Siobhan Hockey, who I think her grandfather's brother used to be head of the government in Ireland. How much longer has Hong Kong got as a separate national committee and a separate Olympic team? We know that the IOC speaks with President Xi regularly, and that will obviously continue into next year. Is there any wish expressed or any proposal to incorporate the Hong Kong National Committee into the China National Committee, or can you say for certain that Hong Kong will be in Paris 2024 as a separate team?
All I can tell you is that National Olympic Committees, we have 206 at the moment. As you know, the most recent one was Kosovo. The numbers go up and down. There's been no discussion of Hong Kong status as far as I'm aware. In other words, I see no reason why it won't continue. Yes, gentlemen there.
Hello, Gunnar Lehest from Estonia, Delphi. Question for Mr. Nishikawa. Can you please tell us how did the application process look like for you? How long was it? Can you please describe the trainings and what are your specific tasks at the table tennis event? And second question, how big was the emotional blow when you heard that the games are being held behind the closed doors? And I'm sorry if that question was already in Japanese, but please can you tell us how old are you and what job do you do in daily basis at your hometown? Thank you.
Okay, so the process particularly, it's usually 2-year cycle. So also I got involved in the as advisor of this volunteer program. So I've been actually helping this organization for nearly 6 years, 5-6 years. So this process is always the same, about 2 years. But this time, 1 year postponement, so it's going to be a little bit different. But initially, the promotion and also you can see that, okay, this is the outline of the volunteer program. Okay, let's apply it. So online process. And then they started doing a lot of explanation and then normal, like a regular training, the general training, and also role-specific training. But at this time, it's a little bit different because of the COVID situation. So most of the trainings done by the online. And finally, the venue-specific training, finally, we actually did the training face-to-face. So that was a a process there. But during in the meantime, also, I participated a lot of cases in terms of especially as the experienced volunteer. I told the story of the London time, the real time, how fun it is, and then to try to motivate those applicants. And this particular time, because of 1 year postponement and also unclear situation, a lot of volunteers, they feel, well, what are we going to do? So we really don't know. So try to encourage them in some way. So that was a really long process. So this time was really, really different. However, actually, unfortunately, because of this situation, a lot of people had to give up this volunteer opportunities. But in the meantime, if you see the different angle, among the 80,000 people, about the 10,000 withdrew, but still 70,000 volunteers, they committed themselves to this a great cause, and I'm one of them. That was really that's what we're proud of, and then be part of this great movement, and that's our motivation particularly. So that's a really a big issue. So that's the whole process so far. And in terms of my daily life, this time I'm actually been here in Tokyo about 3 years temporarily. And my family situation, but also Olympic is a really big deal for me. It's almost my life work. So that's why I actually moved here temporarily. And here I'm doing first of all the English and communication teacher at universities, and then also I belong to the Nippon Foundation. That's part of the official. Kind of a supporter of this Olympic Games, particularly Paralympic Games, and also the volunteer program. So I help as the advisor or a fellow type of things. And also I'm business consultant, so I do some ad hoc base the business research and those things as well. And by the way, my age, I'm 61. I'm getting old, so I can't believe it, but I'm 61 now. Did I miss some other questions? Oh, yeah, that's right. I really want to tell my great story. I'm really lucky that particularly this language service, we do the interpretation between the athletes and then also media. And I experienced two great moments. First of all, in London time, as a table tennis player, and then as a fan. The Japan never won the medals before the London Games, but I was the interpreter at that time of the history-making moment of the Japanese women's team event. They got they guaranteed the medal in the semi-final against Singapore, and I did the interpretation of those after match the interpretation. So that was to actually be there at the history moment. That's a really history making moment. That was a really great the moment for me. I can't forget about it. And this time in Tokyo, the Japan, as you know, the mixed doubles, we got the gold medal, and also I was at that site of the mixed zone to interpret the Mizutani and then the Ito. And that was a really great moment. And to be honest, the interviewer of the OBS, he asked me, Charles, are you okay? Are you really kind of emotional? And then, are you crying? No, I'm sweating. I'm lying, actually. I was sweating, but at the same time, I was crying. But it was so emotional. And because of that, I choked up a little bit during the interpretation. That was a little bit like a, well, I can't stop myself. That was really, great moment for me. Yeah, personally.
Thank you, Charles. That's great. I think two more questions, because I think we're going round again. So Liam, and then we'll finish with AP. Yeah, Liam.
Hi, Liam Morgan from Inside the Games. Oh, that's a bit low. Question for Mark. First of all, there's a campaign group in Iran has called for the IOC Ethics Commission to investigate after they claimed an Iranian shooter who won gold here earlier was a member of a terrorist organisation. Does the IOC have any comment on that? And Masa, can I just clarify one of your answers earlier? Did you say there had been numerous cases where accreditation had been suspended for breach of the playbooks? Have you got any more figures or clarification on that? Thank you.
Yeah, I think on the first one, obviously we'd encourage them, if they have any evidence, to send that to us. Certainly. Yeah, Masa.
Maybe an interpretation, but yeah, we have been obviously addressing any issues on their playbooks. If there is any violation or their behaviors, we need to address that. There has been some cases that we have issued a strict reminder. Also, in some cases, we have collected their what is the appropriate word? One moment. Yeah, the letter of commitment. So also, there has been some cases that those accreditations were temporarily suspended. We are not giving their specific numbers today, but there has been a certain number of cases we have addressed in that way.
Okay, let's finish where we started with AP, I think. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, AP. First, Charles, you said you're 61. Even with the mask on, that's pretty amazing. Perhaps later you can give us some skincare advice. My question's actually for Mark. I tried to ask it yesterday. I think it got a little confused with the soul cap. It's more about specifically inclusivity in swimming. What, if anything, can the IOC do to bring more people of color into swimming?
I think we are hopefully doing as much as we can to make the Olympic Games and Olympic sport as inclusive as possible. As you'll know, 206 National Olympic Committees, 205 here. And they are, if you like, the greatest demonstration in the world of inclusivity that there can possibly be. And I know that the athletes for the oath and for various other parts have worked to allow those kind of those views and whatever to be more widely disseminated. The IOC obviously wants to encourage people from all backgrounds. It's even in the Charter. It's one of the key recommendations, the key promises of the Charter on inclusivity and anti-discrimination on the grounds of race, sex, gender, sexuality, even. So all of those things. In terms of swimming itself, it won't surprise you that I think for what they specifically are doing, if they want to ask for some advice, we'd always be happy to give it. But in terms of sports, that would very much be a matter for the federation itself to deal with. But, as I say, I think if you're looking for possibly the best example of inclusivity around the world in terms of gender, 50-50, in terms of different countries being represented here, you probably would have to look very hard to find a better one than the Olympic Games here in Tokyo. Okay. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, I think we're going to have a tour of the village. No, we're going to have some guests talking about the village. As ever, you're invited to ask anything you want about anything you want, and I will see you same time tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Thank you very much indeed.
すみません、ありがとうございました。